Good morning, welcome everybody. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, again, good morning. Gentlemen, the first thing we have are our minutes. Do we have any additions or corrections?
No. You know, we weren't here all this long last week. You sure this is the right one?
CTSI was a lot of information.
I move we adopt the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County for June 28th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, June 28th, 2022. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Planning. Looks like last week we didn't have anything, so want to make up for it today.
That's right. We're saving it, do it all at one time.
Okay, well, we have a public hearing for the 9 o'clock, and Kim, would you read the roll?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of an after-the-fact general plan unit development and rezoning application submitted by Jonathan and Tegan Lewis on property located at 22812 Road G, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 8.73 acres more or less, located south of Road G, west of Road 23, situated in Section 8, Township 35 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioner's Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 7th day of June, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 15th, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, Don, would you like to give us an overview of?
Sure. Yeah, I don't see the applicants here, but we will move forward on this. Yeah, this is an after-the-fact planned unit development because they've got 4 tiny houses down by the airport road that they have been renting out, and so we contacted them. Since then, they have put in a new septic system and tied the house and 2 small cabins, I guess you'd call them, into that. They also got another existing septic system inspected, and Melissa has signed up on both of those, so they're compliant there. They met with Montezuma Water District 1 Water Board a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and they got permission to upsize the existing water tap to account for the extra cabins, as opposed to having to install an additional water tap. So that is taken care of from that side as well. So what they're looking, if you can scroll to the map, Jim. So what they're looking to do is have a commercial envelope that incorporates access from Road G and incorporates the cabins. Yeah, one. To the west and to the east, but not their house or the pond.
More down? I noticed this.
No, go back up just a little where we can see them all, right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is kind of a sketch drawing, but for the PUD, do we have an actual survey so that it shows each one of them on their, what is it, over
Each
a
one,
half,
it is
half an acre?
located, and will have that envelope that covers the four.
The
and
survey is in progress.
circles around to the north of the house. Excuse me.
And all the water and wastewater have all been taken care of now?
It is all current and compliant.
So
now.
what about the fees for this, as far as access to the road? What does that do?
That,
Is that the same as the regular residents that we would, what is it?
right,
14?
yeah, it's per unit, and then mileage to the nearest highway, which would be 491.
491.
160. So yeah, the road impact fees have to be accounted for that way. That's an old existing driveway, so it didn't need a new driveway permit.
And everything is coming into that driveway anyway, right?
Correct, it's that one access, and they are gonna limit so that there isn't access to the south of the residence, just for the cabin people access will just be in from Road G to the west and then to the east.
So
Yeah,
then
they moved in here and just started adding these and didn't know there was any rules or regulations, so they kinda had put in their own septic systems, and now they're aware and they're getting everything up to snuff.
but they are approved and,
Correct,
have
yeah,
been-
the two tiny homes and the main house on the west are on one new septic system, and then the tiny home, or the two on the east, are on an existing system that was inspected, and it has been permitted as well.
okay.
So that accounts for those issues.
Any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Well, then, obviously, we don't have an applicant here, so I'll skip by that. So I will open this up for a public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this, and I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen, questions, any other questions that we have for planning?
I don't have any. How did, yeah, I do. How did you find out about this?
Just driving by,
Just
started
driving.
noticing, here's, cause that, on the west there, the northwest, that garage or shop has been there
Yeah,
forever, but then that next little tiny home showed up beside it, and then all of a sudden, then there was another one, and it's like, all right, something's going on here, we need to contact them, so. And then last December, and I didn't realize it was one of these, the N.M.P website, it just had a little tiny old, RV, and they had a portable dump, and just ran a generator to them, which, you know, I figured from the other 5 or 7 I contacted was not a big deal, but then it turned out it was this one, so I made them aware that they couldn't be doing that, and so they quit operating through N.M.P, but they were still on Airbnb, so we had to pursue them with a letter and notify them, and along with everybody else, they've got room and a space, so they just start filling them up and renting them out.
And the plat is forthcoming?
Yes, and it will specify on there that there's no RV parking spots. It's not gonna have dry camping. It's not gonna have any other campsites down to the south. It's strictly, those 4 tiny homes.
And it'll be an as-built
Yeah,
plat.
and it'll plat those 4. But yeah, they had an Airstream, and they sold it, and that other little I don't even know what it was, a
Okay,
retro.
so all of those notations will be on the plat then?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions, so.
I don't know, but I think these kind of deals where people just start putting all this stuff in there and all of it, then they come in here and ask us for forgiveness for them not planning ahead and going through the proper process is just, it's a little out of control.
And I would agree. But how do we,
I think we ought to make at least half of those things go away, personally. That's my feeling. There's no consequence to going out here and doing this. I mean, what's gonna stop the next person from doing the same thing?
Do we find them after the fact?
Yeah, that's what we do, and then
Yeah.
is there any consequences to it?
No.
There's none.
for, which is a question to you, Ian, I mean,
I mean, we'd have to change the land use code and put in a provision after the fact, after the fact fees are more exorbitant than obviously doing it right ahead of time, going through the process. But
People come in here and go through the whole process and do what they're supposed to do, and it costs them money up front
Yeah.
before they can ever get started, and then they've done this, and there's no consequences to this. If we just okay this thing the way it is,
Right.
and I think it's wrong. That's my opinion. I mean, it's not fair to those people that go through the process and do it right.
and I agree with that. I mean, we continually sit here with variances after variance for after the fact, and it just,
Well, and this is tricky because this isn't really a variance, this is an after-the-fact PUD permit.
PUD.
And so, I mean, the problem we run into as our land use code is currently written, this PUD is no different than any other PUD application you see.
other than it,
Even though it's after the
It's
fact. I mean, I
built.
understand exactly what Commissioner Copenhaver's saying. On the ground, it is different. But per our land use code, as it's currently written, it's really not. And so, in voting on this, at least per our land use code, you guys have to consider the same things that you normally consider, whether this creates any significant adverse impacts to neighboring properties, and so, I
Well-
think this is a tricky situation, and this is maybe something that we need to look at in our land use code. How are we gonna deal with these situations where people just go running and doing things contrary to the land use code and then come and ask for forgiveness? But,
That's why I was thinking, on after the fact stuff, that if there's a different fee schedule or there's, I don't know legally what we could or couldn't do. I mean, if you wanna make it hurt, then it's exorbitant, it's an extra 10 grand or something, but I don't know legally where that gets us.
I mean, we can put stuff into our land use code, to address situations like this. And whether it would be some kind of a fine schedule or something, even more severe, like, you
Right.
don't get to do what you tried to do. You gotta start anew and go through the process.
Yeah,
The problem is as the land use code's currently written,
right.
there's not really a distinction between this after-the-fact PUD application and a PUD application before the fact.
Correct. And James Dietrich and I, we discussed the same thing on a floodplain permit.
Yeah.
There's no different consequence there. If you don't get one for 10 years and then get one, it's the same as if you got it the first day you had a plan. So maybe those after-the-fact deals ought to come with a hefty cost. I mean, obviously, we'd have to go through the process.
right, to change the land use code. Which is something that we probably should talk about, which that's not the decision in front of us here today. The decision in front of
Right.
us here today
Kinda
is,
got into the
do we
weeds.
move forward or do we not move forward?
Correct.
So in this situation, doing it this way, is there any public notice, neighbors notified, any of this thing happen?
Not prior to us getting a hold of them.
But I mean now, I mean,
Yeah, with the public notices went out and they went through planning and zoning, and then public notices again for this public hearing today.
The process is really the same in the land
Correct.
use code as you would go through
Correct.
if these things weren't there. The notices go out, the packets go out, goes through P and Z. It's
So
just-
they,
And Boss Wright's the adjoining owner, and I have spoken to him, and he doesn't have any issues with what they've got and what they're doing. He just didn't wanna see any other RVs coming in and trailers and crap getting, parked in there and turning into another Road 21 issue. But otherwise, as it stands and with what's there, he's okay with that, and it actually got part of a leach field off his property and all contained on the right property, so there's no issue there. But yeah, moving forward, like you say, if they just start it up, then nobody has any input or say so in it.
yeah, there were 6 notices that were sent out to the property owners that were,
Yeah.
Correct.
connected, so it has gone through the process.
Correct.
And planning and zoning?
They were unanimous to recommend it for approval with the septic systems being done and the water tap issue being addressed.
Which has been addressed.
Correct.
So, do we want to give Dawn direction as far as we need to figure out how to fix that? Because these after-the-fact exemptions
So
just continue, I mean,
Right.
which we don't necessarily have to discuss it now, but it's easier to give you direction now than later.
Right.
And if you hadn't have seen it, we wouldn't have known. Nobody would have known. Maybe
No,
somebody else would have come in and asked, but
Well, we probably would have seen it because something was gonna happen in one of the septic systems and it was gonna fail, and then we would have been notified at that point in time if they weren't properly taken care of, so. Okay,
Yeah.
well, basically, we have to make a decision today and then we can move forward with trying to resolve the land use code, because I definitely agree, these after-the-fact exemptions are,
Well, I think we need to clarify here. This isn't a variance. This isn't an exemption. This is an after-the-fact plan unit development permit. And so we're not making an exception to our land use code here. We're not granting a variance. This is a little bit different. This is just a situation where this stuff is already in, and now they're applying for the plan unit development. And I think it's just an important distinction to make for everybody out there. This is not a variance.
right, it's an after-the-fact.
Yep.
Which is an exemption, correct?
Well,
Yeah.
no,
Technically.
not really. Yeah, I mean, it's not,
Yeah, an exemption
That's
would
okay.
be something contrary to the land use
Right.
code. So this,
Yep.
this now will be compliant with the land use code, it's just not done in the right order and in the right.
the timing's not right, but we're not granting an exemption.
Which is Commissioner Copenhaver's whole
Right.
premise to the conversation, is like, well, okay, if it's not done, say one of those or 2 of those are out of compliance. What does it take to get them into compliance, and then do we just make them disappear?
Yep.
Okay. All right, gentlemen.
I would move we accept the after-the-fact general plan unit development and rezoning application submitted by Jonathan and Tegan Lewis, property located at 22812 Road G, Cortez.
You'll have to second it, because I'm not going to.
Okay, I will second it. So it's been moved and seconded to accept the after-the-fact general planned unit development and rezoning application submitted by Jonathan and Tegan Lewis on property located at 22812 County Road G, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 8.73 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right,
Close the hearing. Close the hearing.
we'll close this public hearing. We are way past, so we're good to go. Kim, would you go ahead and call the roll for the
Commissioner,
910?
Commissioner Candelaria,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver,
Here.
Attorney McLaren,
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed amendment along with AR 3-9 rezoning to the Duehrssen Subdivision submitted by David Brandos on property located at 20865 Road 23.75, Lewis, Colorado, consisting of 17.83 acres more or less, located south of Road X, east of Road 23, situated in Section 33, Township 38 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 9:10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 7th day of June, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don?
Come on up, David. We have the owner and applicant here, Mr. Brandos.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, great, thank you. Get that from you. So this is an amendment to the Duehrssen single lot development to split the 17, well, it's actually the second amendment. The northwest property there was 7 acres before, and it was added to the single lot development, thereby creating the 17 plus acres. And now the new owner, Mr. Brandos here, is looking to split off that lot again, more or less in the same area, but it's now 6.5 acres. So he's basically just splitting the single lot back into 2 separate lots. Access is on the north end of the 11.3 acre parcel. There's a dedicated easement from, what is that? Yeah, Road X is at the top, comes down along the red sign road there, and then that access will go to the north
Of the pond.
of the pond to access that parcel. The remaining property already has a house, residence there, and already has water, electric, sewer.
Okay. Would you like to add anything?
So, there was an approved septic on the original lot, so there's a septic on the new proposed lot. There is also an electrical box, and the road on the north side of the lake, it's just been improved. It just had it graded and gravelled, so it is ready to go. The lot is slightly smaller than the original lot because some outbuildings were built while it was a combined lot. So the south line apex there is just tilted to the north slightly, which is the difference in the original lot from the new proposed lot.
From the 7 acres to the 6.5?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, any questions or comments at this time?
Is there any plans to develop that piece that's cut off by the U lateral over there?
So I have a bridge,
Okay,
an existing bridge, and there's no plans to develop it for residential or camping or anything like that. I may develop it for agriculture. Right now it is, this picture is an old satellite picture when there was gravity feed and you can see it's green. That gravity feed irrigation is now everything to the east of the red line. And
Okay.
those properties got split a long time ago, and so it's not green anymore, but it's nice. The soil's better shaped there because it's down on the flat. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet.
Okay.
That was
I'm not
my
gonna build.
only question that I had asked in the beginning, because then, you know, potentially what we see is because of the canal or a road, you know, somebody's gonna come back in and want to subdivide that also.
It's about 2.5 acres down
Which
there, so I
is-
think that has different rules, right?
Non-compliant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can get a septic in there either, but
Okay.
it's not my intention. If we do anything, it'll be llamas or sheep or goats or.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
All right, then I'm gonna open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium. State your name, address for the record, and you may address the board at this time.
My name is Jerry Koski, County Road X. Apparently he wants to sell this tract, that's the reason he's subdividing it. And I might have missed on some of the facts that they were talking about, I didn't hear everything, but when I checked with Melissa Matthews, there's no permit for this septic system that's on this 6 acres. There's been no fees paid, and we don't know whether it's been an engineered system or not, or it was just slapped in. But the maps don't show elevation, but this site is right up on top of a hill, on a shale hill, and it's all tight adobe clay. It doesn't leach very well, and it doesn't percolate or aerate very well either. So my concern is to make sure we have a working system on this tract, because the drainage goes into 2 directions in both into the Montezuma Valley Irrigation Canal. We have less than 1,000 yards from the 6 acre tract. We have another neighbor that has an engineered design system that failed not once but twice in 5 years. This area is not really very accepting of septic systems. So we just want to make sure that there's a legal system there, the fees are paid, and the system does work. Also, there is some question about the system on the 11 acres, whether that's permitted or not. But that goes back to several landowners, so we're not sure about that one. The access, the information in here was a little bit deceiving, because the only access to that 6 acres is across the 11 acre tract from the 2375. Well, currently that's just a wagon road, but that doesn't make any difference to me. I don't care what road they have, but I think it needs to be a legal described access. Because my question is, can you sell a tract or a lot in Montezuma County without a legal access to a public right-of-way? What's down the road is both these tracts sell, and the new owner of the 11 acres sees the guy going across his property to get to 6 acres, and he said, "You can't cross my property."
And
Then
we,
who's gonna sue who?
we make sure that every
There needs to be a
parcel has
legally prescribed
access.
access, right? Okay. The other thing that happened was that there was a landowner directly to the west, Alan Weber. He never received any of this information at all. And I don't know why, but just to follow the rules and regulations, the adjoining and affected landowners need to be notified. So,
Okay,
I think if we make sure that these questions and issues are answered, we'd probably be okay. But if not, then we're not following the subdivision regulations. Thank
Okay.
you.
thank you. So I can answer some of those questions, then Don, I'll let you answer the rest of them. First of all, the access across the north is there. That will be a deeded access. That has to be on the plat because every parcel has to have its own.
There's already utility access easement that I signed up for in my title.
Correct. But it has to be more than just a utility easement. It has to be for ingress and egress.
That's why I spent the money on the road.
Sure. As far as the owners being contacted, there were 7 owners that received letters, or the letters were sent out to, which would all be.
Yeah, the property south of the canal actually extends west, clear up to the north boundary line of Mr. Brandos. So the Weber property to the west is not adjoining.
That's the reason why he done the packet is
The
because
canal splits.
That splits them, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
So the canal split is the purpose for that person not getting it, but there were 7 letters that were sent out.
3 times.
And then the question as far as the septic system, obviously there's, you said earlier that you have a septic system on the 6.5 acres now.
Right.
And
I received a design and approval with a Montezuma County stamp when I purchased the property. I didn't research that septic system. It hasn't been in use since I've owned the property. But there was a design and a approval with a Montezuma County stamp.
what was the design for, as far as
I don't remember.
1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? Because that does make a difference. If the design was for a 2 bedroom and you put in a 3 bedroom, then it's non-compliant.
Sure.
So that's a,
Whoever, whatever gets developed there will have to comply with that septic design or improve it and apply for a new permit.
sure.
But I could sell bare land with no septic on it.
Mhm.
This is just an enhancement to the existing property.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you can
No,
answer
and
with that?
Melissa and I have been back and forth on this. So I think the original house there, I think that was a permit that was issued to Duehrssens. The one on the hill, we have no idea about. But if somebody wants to build there,
Then they have to become
they'll have to
compliant.
contact us, and then they'll have to go through
Right.
the process. So if there is actually a system there, they'll have to get it inspected and see if it's more than just a vault or what it is, so.
So I had it inspected when I bought the property. It was, the permit was issued to Peter Holt. He owned that property prior to it being combined with the 11 acres. And I don't know the size, or whether it's a 2 bedroom or what, but there is a vault and a drain field that goes to the west, down the hill.
Okay. It's just something to bring up because some people, when you say there's a septic system on there, they stop doing their due diligence and they just assume that it is good for anything, which it really is not. Each system is designed specifically for 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom,
Exactly.
4 bedroom, so on and so forth. So, obviously that person is gonna have to make sure that that permit is, so I would definitely like to make sure that that's somewhere noted on that plat, or, just so that, it's not gonna stop the process, but
Right, no,
just kind of an awareness for people to know that they still have to make
yeah,
sure that it's
it won't
proper.
be identified that there is or isn't a septic system.
Okay,
The road impact fees will have to be paid as part of dividing
Right.
this property, so that part will be covered, but they'll have to contact our office or the health department if somebody does wanna build. And at that point, it'll be, and I've asked Melissa to look under Peter's information, cause he originally brought that up when he was subdividing his south property last year. And I don't know all the ins and outs of what she has or hasn't found.
okay. All right. Anybody else? We're still in public comment. Okay, with that, I'll close the public comment and bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen.
I have no
Questions,
other.
comments?
I don't have any problem with it as long as they make sure that septic system's working.
Okay, then what is your pleasure?
Go ahead.
I move to approve this proposed amendment along with the AR 3-9 rezoning of the Duehrssen Subdivision submitted by David Brandos on property located at 2865 Road 23.75 Lewis, Colorado.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed amendment along with the AR 3-9 rezoning to the Duehrssen subdivision submitted by David Brandos on property located at 20865 Road 23.75 Lewis, Colorado, consisting of 17.83 acres more or less. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and I will close the public hearing. Okay, we are at the 9:20 and we are ready to go, Kim, so would you call the roll for the 9:20?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey.
I have to recuse myself. This is relation.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed single lot development in AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by the Robbins Family Ranches LLC, agent Brian McLaughlin, on property located at 1005 Road 43, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 134.01 acres, more or less located west of Road 43, north of Highway 160, situated in Section 22, Township 36 North, Range 13 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 9:20 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 14th day of June, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, Don, and I see Brian's here,
Yeah,
so we're
Brian,
good to go.
Agent Brian. So the Robbins Ranches is looking to split off 23 more or less acres along with the old original farmhouse off of Road 23 out of their 43 out of their 100 and some acre property. On the south there, you'll see a 60-foot easement, access and utility from 43 west, and that will be the primary deeded easement to the rest of the property to the west. There's also that small 30-foot access utility easement to the north as a secondary for the access for ag from the northeast to the southwest property. All the utilities are at the existing house. Driveway's already in, and I believe Brian said that access, 60-foot access, is the old railroad bed, so it's kind of deceiving there. It doesn't run through the ponds. It actually is south of the ponds to the property line. Planning and zoning, they were unanimous to recommend it for approval.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Brian?
Actually, the 30-foot access and utility, it's labeled the easement there. That's real property connecting the two yeoman's parcels on the north and the west. It's not an easement. It just connects the remaining property.
It won't be an easement deeded to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll remain with existing.
With the Robbins Ranch, there's not an easement prescribed.
So the only easement we have is a 60-foot easement on the front where they can get access to the existing home.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Cooperative?
I don't have any problems with it. That's the old homestead there, and that's not any problem.
Okay.
I mean, it's
All right.
all
Well,
part of that family, and they're just splitting it up between each other, so.
at this time, then I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this, and I'll bring it back to the commissioners.
I don't have any problem with it. I don't see any problem.
Okay? You wanna-
I move we approve this proposed single lot development and AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Robbins Family Ranches LLC, agent Brian McLaughlin, on property located at 10005 Road 43, Mancos, Colorado.
And I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed single lot development AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by the Robbins Family Ranches LLC, agent Brian McLaughlin, on property located at 10,005 Road 43, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 134.01 acres, more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion passes, and I will close this public hearing. There you go, Brian. Okay, being at 9:30, we have another public hearing. Kim, would you go ahead and call the roll?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed two-lot moderate subdivision and AR 3-9 rezoning application submitted by Carleen Porter, Curtis Case, Tanya Capps, agent Danny Wilkin, on property located at 15965 Road 21, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 5 acres more or less located south of Road S, west of Road 21, situated in Section 25, Township 37 North, Range 17 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online service at https://co-montezuma-sar.ca sorry, try that again. https://montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the planning department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 14th day of June, 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, I think we've seen this more than once already, so
Correct,
do you
yeah.
have anything else to add
You
to
guys
it?
previously approved a variance for the lot size of Lot 2 being less than 3 acres, as well as the setback distance for the house on that property, on the south property line, not meeting the 30-foot setback. So we already have those recorded in place. So they're proposing to split the property with 3 acres to the north with the house that Miss Porter lives on now, and split off Lot 2 there, 1.47 acres, with an existing house there that her daughter lives in. So it'll be a 2-lot moderate. It's bordered by 2 county roads, so the gross area is roughly 5 acres, but the net area is 4.5 more or less, just because they lose
Right.
property in the county road right away.
Okay,
Existing utilities for both residences, driveways are in, so nothing new's gonna change development-wise. It's just splitting the lot to
Right.
separate the two.
right, just the actual split, so
Correct.
I don't think anything has changed, but Dan, if you wanna say anything, I mean, you can, but I think it's all in front of us and has been.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the same as what we've discussed in the past and stuff, and
Okay.
so.
Okay, well then, at this time, I'll open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this and bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen.
I don't have any questions.
No, I don't either. We've been
Yeah,
through this before, so.
Yeah.
Looked at it several times, so then I will. wait for you.
Yeah, I would move that we approve the proposed 2-lot moderate subdivision and AR 3 through 9 rezoning applications submitted by Charlene Porter and Curtis Case and Tanya Capps, agent Danny Wilkin, on property located 15965 Road 21, Cortez.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed 2-lot moderate subdivision and AR 3 through 9 rezoning application submitted by Carleen Porter, Curtis Case, and Tanya Capps, agent Danny Wilkin, on property located at 15965 Road 21, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 5 acres more or less. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Motion passes. You are good to go, and I will close this public hearing.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. We are at the 9:40, and it is 9:49, so Kim, would you go ahead and call the roll?
You guys getting tired of me yet?
No.
All right, Commissioner Candelaria,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed subdivision amendment application to the Highland Terrace Major Subdivision submitted by Bert and Deborah Ramsey on property located to be determined Road K.8, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of .63 acres more or less, located north of Road K.8, west of Highway 491, situated in Section 22, Township 36 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 9:40 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the planning office online service at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the planning department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 14th day of June, 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Don?
Commissioners, you've seen this one previously before too as well. The Ramseys are just looking to have the one lot that was created 3 years ago with the extension of that section of the subdivision, just divided back into its two original lots. And the variance for creating, I guess, both lots under 3 acres was previously approved. So this is just to split what is existing Lot A into, I believe it'll be Lot A and F, just to keep the numerical system numbering on that end of the subdivision.
Okay, would you like to add anything, Mr. Ramsey?
No, I spoke to everybody pretty much in person. Got a couple, the folks, I was asked to visit with McGuire, who's directly across the street, Jim Bridgewater, and then the guy to the west is Jim Carter, and that would be the 3 adjacent. They were all good. I didn't get Jim's because he's not here anymore. But through talking to McGuire, who signed it, I just happened to ride a plane with him accidentally. He was going to Bridgewater's place actually that weekend, and he said they would sign it if I needed to send it. So if you need that signature, we can get it. But they've all had the registered letters also. I mean, they've had that. So other than his, I kind of followed, just didn't get that one.
Yep. Okay, and this has been in front of us before. Commissioner, do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay. Well, then I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. All right, seeing no public comment, we'll close the public comment session, and I will bring it back to the commissioners, gentlemen.
I have nothing further.
I don't have any problem with it. We looked at it before.
Okay.
I move to approve this proposed subdivision amendment application to the Highland Terrace major subdivision submitted by Burton and Deborah Ramsey on property located at to be determined Road K.8, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 0.63 acres, more or less.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed subdivision amendment application to the Highland Terrace major subdivision submitted by Bert and Deborah Ramsey on property located at TBD Road K.8, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 0.63 acres, more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes, and I will close the public hearing.
No. We'll take this. If you want a copy, I can scan it and email it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Have a great day. Okay, one more item. Unless you have more that I can't see.
We do have a couple of signatures, but hi, morning.
Okay.
This is Laura Reich from the Road 42 water project, water line. I'll let her say what their district is.
Upper Road 42 Water Association.
So their variance application is one of the northernmost property owner that would be in the water district. He has the property there off of Road 42, and the request is for a variance to the 3 acre minimum to allow a 1 acre parcel. So that would be the location of the water storage tank. They would pump the water from the Jackson water plant up to this water storage tank, and from there it gravity flows back south down 42 to all the residences. The 1 acre would be, I don't remember the owner's name, but it would be his in-kind donation to the water project, as well as be part of their matching funds for their grant applications.
Okay. Questions, gentlemen?
So we're cutting this 1 acre off of,
Well, looks
Mr.
like
Hudson's?
That's what they would like.
Okay,
The one acre would be given to the water project person.
for
And-
just a water storage tank, no
How-
offices, no
No,
structures.
just
How big is
infrastructure
the
for the storage.
tank? Because,
The storage tank is proposed to be 20,000 gallons, and it will be a standpipe, so taller than it is wide. We don't know the correct exact dimensions of it yet because it's proposed.
I don't have any problem with it. I mean, it's a community project.
yeah,
You wanna donate that to it, way.
I'm just, an acre's not very big for most water tanks that are typically placed. I realize reading this that it's only a limited number of people that are going to be able to come off of it. But, you know, here again, it's a 1 acre separation, which our land use code says that it's supposed to be 3 acres. And for future expansion, if you ever do expand it, excuse me, you know, it would be better to be larger than smaller. Otherwise, this, you know, it's just another addition to it. So not seeing a plot plan and not, you know, really seeing what, I guess, do you have the footprint of the tank itself?
We do not, because it has not been engineered. We've only done preliminary engineering at this point. However, a 20,000 gallon tank, about 20 feet in diameter, is proposed.
Okay.
I don't know how tall it's going to be yet, because that will have to be part of the final engineering for water pressure to all the homes. There has been look into expansion though in the future, and it was fairly limited just based on subdivision rules and the fact that Mancos Rural Water Company has a moratorium on how many taps they will allow for this project. So expansion is very limited.
Okay.
However, we did talk about in the future if they need to install a second standpipe up there for maintenance purposes or for storage purposes, we would design for that.
And would it still accommodate it on the 1 acre?
Yes.
I guess that's my only concern. Without seeing anything in front of us, it's almost like we're premature. Do you understand what I'm?
I understand. 3 acres seemed like too much for one small 20,000 gallon tank.
It would be,
But again,
but
if final engineering proved that we needed a larger tank, yes, we would be coming back to ask for a regular subdivision of 3 acres.
I think the maximum area though that could be served by the maximum number of people because everything north of there is all forest.
Yep.
And to the west is, Mr. Bolak owns a bunch of that land. It's never gonna be developed. I don't,
see it expanding.
capacity-wise, I don't see it expanding. I mean, I don't, because once you come down the roadways, then you run into the Mancos Rural Water and a system that comes out of Jackson Dam,
off the lower
out of the
side.
lake, out of the lower side, so you're gonna, everything down there is already taken care of.
Just question, just asking questions. That's
Is there any
kinda what-
potential for use, firefighting use?
Mancos Rural Water does not have any firefighting capacity on their entire system, and they
Okay.
did not request that we add that to our system. However, we will have a fire standpipe at the tank in case it needs to be used.
All right.
So they can use that for fire, or they can use that for maintenance in the water system.
So will that actually be a fire hydrant or just a flush hydrant?
Like a flush hydrant.
Water's water.
Yeah.
If you can get it out of
Yeah,
there.
if you can get it out. Tell Mike when they hook on, don't pull too hard, the tank will.
Okay. Well, any other questions, gentlemen?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I would move we approve the variance application submitted by Houston and Connie Anderson, agent Upper Road 42 Water Association.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the variance application submitted by Houston and Connie Anderson, agents for the Upper Road 42 Water Association. And this proposal will be for a 1 acre parcel in order to build the domestic water tank. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
there you go.
Now we gotta go sign.
Yeah. So we'll go down.
This is the variance for the upper
Rachel's not gonna be here, so she's off the agenda.
Get public comments.
That's new.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers today, anyway.
Okay, well, little over an hour, that's not bad. Got it taken care of, so, all right.
I guess,
I don't-
go ahead and consider if there's a step we need to look at taking on the after-the-fact items.
I think so.
I,
I think we need to put our heads together, maybe with P and Z also.
Yeah, we can bring that up with P and Z.
Yeah.
I think we have informally, but I mean, a
My
price range or a cost, yeah,
My suggestion would be to get some recommendations from P and Z and then bring those before us, perhaps at a Monday workshop, and we can chip in and then go from there.
go from there. Kind of look at some other land use codes and see what they do.
Right.
well,
Go from there.
checking around the other counties, I mean, Delta just now is first time ever adopted one, so, yeah, there's, nobody else collects a road impact fee, it's just not really apples to apples or anything,
Okay.
it's kinda tough, but I guess, do you guys kinda have a range of what the extra fee should be? I mean,
See, and I'm
I
not,
don't yet.
I struggle with fees, but I definitely understand what Commissioner Copenhaver is saying, because
yeah, there's no.
if you're
no
doing it
other-
right up front,
Mhm.
you're not rewarded for anything, and you can do it on the backside or circumvent the system and still get
Right.
the same thing without any ramifications. So I almost think of, you know, how do we educate the public more to know that they are doing something incorrectly? I think before we just start charging fees, ask, from me, not, you know, these gentlemen can go down a different road, but how do we educate more to get people to understand what they should be doing up front, to do it in the proper sequence instead of a fine on the backside? Because that really, I mean, what does the fine do on the backside other than, you know what I'm saying? It's
Sure.
like, how do we, I mean, what do we need to be doing better to educate them? That's just my opinion. I mean,
Well, we promote it through the Board of Realtors. I went to their meeting in December. I mean, there was probably 70 or 80 realtors there getting all their updates. And, you know, I expressed to them that you've got to pass along, we have a land use code. We may not issue a building permit, but we have a land use code and you have to abide by it. You have to contact our office before you just start building stuff. And that needs to be passed along during the negotiating property process.
And we have Leafy post on social media too, that things have to be done in the planning office before they can do anything on the property.
And it's on the website and the health department relays it.
I know.
You know, it's just like everybody else, if you choose not to look and ask the question, and you ask for forgiveness and not for permission.
Well, I think you have enough direction to go to the planning commission and bring us back,
Okay.
you know, some ideas, then we can go from there.
We will do that with them next week.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, very good. Thank you, guys. All right. It has now come to the time for the public comment session. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during a public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. And comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time. And with that, the public comment session is open. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment session, and we are gonna go right down on our agenda. The IHOP grant, Rachel Marchbanks will not be here today, so we're gonna go right into Public Works, Road and Bridge, Mr. Engelhardt.
Morning.
Good morning.
So first on the agenda for me is our July work activities. We did a lot of blade patching last week. We were gonna do a little bit this week, wrapping that up so we can chip seal again. Last week, we also had our Alkali Creek pre-bid meeting. You can see there on the 30th. That went real well. There was several contractors that showed up for a pre-bid, walk around, questions and answers. And I found the questions to be rather simple and not too many, which is a good sign. That means we got our information out there and it's working pretty well. So all that is posted on our webpage, plus it was advertised in Denver, Durango, and Cortez, and newspapers, and we're getting a good response from all the places that we advertised it. So I think we're off and running for that. And then looking on down the line there, you'll see where it says open Alkali Creek Bridge bids at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the, was that 19th? So that's hopefully on our agenda. We were trying to get that on the agenda for that day. 1 o'clock, we'll open them in here. And we won't discuss them or nothing like that. We'll just open to see who the low bid is apparent, and then go on from there and do a review and see which one we finally ultimately choose. So it all looks good. Looks like we may get this bridge off and running this year. So this week we're doing some general maintenance. We got several things going on around the different districts. They're out there putting in some culverts this week that we needed to get in on a short week. Cortez is out blading some non-mag roads, and then they've got a road out there on Goodman Point that needs bladed once a year, so they're gonna go work on it, pull the shoulders on it and get it done. And in Dolores, we've got a real problem on Road 28 north of Road P out there on with the flood control. That took a real hit last week during the rains, and so we've got to do a lot of rock rehabilitation, actually build some flood channels off of that hill, and then also take care of Road P where it washed out onto Road 29. That really did some damage out there. So those crews are working with a couple of truck drivers to haul a bunch of rock out of Ormiston today and bring it down and build some water blocks and hold that water up and slow it down and widen the channel and just take the energy out of it, we hope, and slow things down. So that's where they're at this week. Chip seal goes again on the 11th through the 15th. We show a week of it, but we should be done in 4 days, 3 loads of oil a day. And they'll take care of all the roads out there on that single lift maintenance work we're doing. Then we'll be done with chip seal until September when we do the DOLA grant work out at Yellow Jacket. We won't fire up that again until then. We hope to start on Schedule A. I want to start on them Schedule A roads later in the month, but I was up on the West Mancus Road over the weekend and it's so bone dry up there. I wouldn't even want to try it right now. I'd just be dry blading it. So if we get some of those summer rains, those July, August rains that we're hoping to get, we'll jump right on those Schedule A blade roads and get those bladed and pull the ditches. So also, we want to start hauling gravel to YN16 on the 18th. The crusher is up at Ormiston now. Started making the 3/4 inch road base for us for that job. And then we'll put about 4 or 5 inches of 3/4 inch road base down on those 2 roads, compact them, water them, and then mag them, and then be ready for chip seal. That works real well using that gravel up there. It gives it a zone of non-water binding up in there. It lets it free flow the water out from under the chip seal. We've had a lot of success using that Ormiston gravel underneath the chip seal, so that gives us a place for that water to go. So that's what we're doing in July. Like I said, the pre-bid meeting went good. Not a lot of questions again. So other than that, that's about all I got this month. So, question?
No, the only question I think that was not on the plans at that pre-bid was, where's the troll?
Yeah, but they offered to bring one, remember?
They did, yeah.
One guy said he had one, so.
So that was a little bit of comic relief there, but that
Yeah.
was actually a question that was asked at the bridge walkthrough while we were underneath the bridge.
Where's the troll? Yeah.
Where's the troll?
But it's a positive when you get pre-bid and you don't have 50 questions that you didn't cover in your information that you put out in your bid packages. And I was real pleased that they were minor at most, simply, or a little bit humorous at times, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a good meeting, so. And they had good turnout too. So,
Mm-hmm.
being it wasn't non-mandatory, it wasn't required to be there, so. So good turnout.
How many different contractors do you think was there?
Oh, there was 4, and then there's 3 more.
Couple
Gerald, that are
local
very
and a
serious, yeah.
couple
They're out of Denver. Mhm.
out of the area
Mhm.
that were there.
2 locals and then 2, I wasn't sure who they were, but, there's a couple more that are very serious out there that are just didn't come to the meeting. But they're bridge builders, they probably have all the answers anyway. I think all they were looking for really was surrounding area, access, in and out, what are we gonna do with the roads and all that stuff, which was pretty well spelled out in the bid package anyway, but it's good to get that, look at it, get a little personal with it, so. We do have a couple of mag roads that, I think Gerald, you brought up one last week that we got messed up on. We'll go back next week and hit it, clean that up on 44. That was a mistake from last year, didn't get caught, so we'll get that done. And, the town of Dolores wants to do a little bit of mag, if we can get time here pretty soon, do a little bit along that river road there that goes down to the old cemetery.
Yeah, that little section.
And we'll try and get that cleaned up for them, so.
Okay.
Other than that, that's not what we're doing.
All right.
Any questions?
Nope.
I don't know.
Good?
All right.
Okay.
Good to go.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Let's see, Fleet, Shane.
Sneak one in on you guys here today,
It's all right.
and then I'll see you again next week. So we got basically the exact same pickup you guys okayed the other day. It is the exact same pickup, same dealership, same everything. We, after looking at some of the money coming out, we haven't been paying the money on the leases for those Fords because obviously we don't have them. So there's a lot of room in our budget to try to update some of our other pickups until we happen to start paying those F-150 bids, so, or those F-150 leases. So I just wanted to get this one okayed, and it's the same exact pickup for the road department. The next sheet kind of shows what I'm gonna eliminate. Somewhere, we're working on, I don't know if it'll change, but there we go. Our 15-year plan, our 15-year 150,000, there's 3 pickups right now that are past the 15-year. So I'm gonna eliminate, somehow through this year, we'll get rid of all 3 of these pickups and update the Foreman pickups and move the Foreman pickups down to road shop pickups, and they'll get less miles on them being the shop pickups, and we'll eliminate these pickups here.
So will this eliminate the 4 that we ordered with that, with all the sheriff vehicles?
No, so
Because then we ordered 4 of those.
there was
Also-
2 pickups that weren't, that were not sheriff's vehicles on that bid, or on the Enterprise, and it was the emergency manager and the coroner.
And then the other one went to Dolores and,
This is just, there was no Foreman pickups on that Enterprise bid. Rob's pickup was the only one on there, and it
Okay.
won't get replaced for another couple of years. So, this is kinda on the 15-year, we'll be buying these outright, basically, they call it a 99% lease. So it stays in their system, they still deal with all the tags, everything else. And we pay a real small lease, which is like $70 a month to them. But we basically pay the whole fee up front for the pickup, and then it's ours after 4 years anyway. So, but these will replace, we have 2 Foreman pickups, which this will replace. You'll see 3-29 there is Rick Lard's pickup, he's the Cortez foreman. And 3-31 is the Mancus, Dolores Foreman, which is Junior Hurst, are right at 100,000 miles. So if we take them out now, get them over to the road, they only get about 7,000 or 8,000 miles a year on them being out at the shops. We'll get them closer to that 15-year period before we have to swap them out.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Commissioner Cooperative?
No.
Have we gotten, I mean, we ask this every time and we read the emails also, but still looking at the end of Q3 for the potential build?
They're still, all I can tell you is they're still on, I don't remember how they say it, but basically ready to be built, but they haven't had a VIN number assigned to them yet. And then we look every single week and we still have no VIN number, so.
Okay.
As soon as we hit a VIN number, we'll know we're in progress of being built.
Where do we stand with the pooling?
So I need to figure out, with Shaq leaving, there was kind of we need to figure out a way to supply funding for the pool. The gas and the small minor repairs, we need to figure that out to be able to move forward with that.
Okay.
So I was just gonna let the dust settle for a little bit here and then try to bring that up.
All right.
We're all set. I've talked to all the heads, the department heads. We know which ones we're gonna put in pool, where we'll switch what. We just need to move forward with pulling them out of those departments' fleets and making the pool. But there has to be something that'll support the funding for the pool. And it won't be a lot, but it's just be the gas and if it needs a battery or tires or
Right.
something like that. But one of the vehicles will be the admin vehicle that'll go to pool. So there is some money there that the admin budget had put in for their vehicle. So I don't know if it's gonna be enough to cover or not, but it's just something we need to discuss.
Okay.
But we're ready to move forward on that.
So have you discussed it with all the department heads? What are their thoughts and ideas? If not, we can talk about it next week.
I had meetings with all the department heads and we know which ones we'll pull out. They're all aware of which ones, they're just ready for me to pull the trigger. The only question I had was the funding part, and with Shaq leaving, I just kinda wanted to let that be for now until
Okay.
we got that figured out.
All right.
But if there's something I can do about that now, I'm ready to move forward, and so are all the department heads, they're all on board.
I mean, I don't know, if it's gonna be a pool vehicle, just, I think each department would have to be charged. I mean, everybody's gonna bear the cost of it because everybody is gonna
Yeah.
have the availability to it now, whether they will or they will not utilize it.
I'd been meeting with Shaq over it, and he just wanted to he kinda wanted to wait till the first of the year, which I don't really so much agree with, but he wanted to just put a line in the admin budget to cover pool.
Okay, well,
Which he thought that would be the easiest way, so that's what we were discussing, but further discussion is probably needed there.
all right,
Maybe next week, I'll see you again then.
we'll see you next week.
Perfect.
All right.
Oh, did we need to do anything about approving that, or?
We do.
Yes. I thought we was gonna get by.
The sole purpose I came in here today is to approve this pickup.
God dang, we almost did that, you know?
We do.
I
So if
move,
you'd scroll down, Jim, to that, number on that lease.
is it the quote number?
Yeah, it would be fine.
Okay, move we approve the quote number 6527709 for a pickup for fleet management.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept quote number 6527709 for the purpose of a 2022 Ram 2500 for the road department and the amount of, now can you scroll up? 41,900.
41,980.
Go down. I don't know, it's the 41,900.
I think it was 41,980.
Yeah, it's 41,980.
41,980. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Perfect, thank you. See you next week.
All right, see you, Shane. Okay, Bonnie, noxious weeds. Good morning.
Okay, what do we got here? Jim, what's that weed?
Looks
Go
like
back.
a beautiful flower.
That is like some
That is a Canada thistle?
Negative.
kind of thistle.
Musk
Gerald?
thistle.
No.
It's a thistle, but what
Russian.
type? Nope.
Dang.
Russian is like the tumbleweed. Gerald?
Russell's a tumbleweed.
That's right. I got it mixed up. And it's not musk.
It's a
not
thistle.
It's not musk.
Yeah, it's a
Kim?
thistle.
I have no idea.
Gerald?
It's a freaking weed.
Ian?
What's a thistle?
Come on, guys.
Wait a minute, I got it.
Flowers.
No.
Ian, go ahead.
I don't know.
Audience? Scotch thistle. Yeah, they grow really tall, like 6 to 7 feet tall. They're beasts. Okay. All right, some
There's a lot of
updates
them
for
up on the
y'all.
forest.
Last time I looked at our system, we're up to 114 backpack loaners being loaned out. As far as cost share, we've processed 81 applications, reimbursing just over 13,000. We've treated about 300 acres of county roadsides. Everything we did in June didn't die. It was just so hot, those plants were closed up, they weren't absorbing any herbicides. So we sprayed the same roads like 4 times. It's really frustrating. But finally, now that we're getting some moisture, it's absorbing and it's dying. So that makes me happy. We've treated about 75 acres of bare ground along our roadsides. Enforcements, we've had like 3 right of entries, 0 were enforced because they all complied after those right of entries were signed. So that's good, because I don't like doing enforcements. Notification letters, so since 2015, when we started mapping, we've mapped about 2,400 properties with noxious weeds. So far this year, we've only mapped weeds on 232 properties. So that's good, that's only 9.5%, but I need to start mapping again because the thistles are flowering and I can see them better. We did a cool little class. Alex Bond, he's an artist with Artisans in Mancos. He has his own little shop in Mancos. He does wood turning. He got a grant to get some money to have a class with kids to do some wood turning. So what we did was we went on a property that we have phreatophytes that we're going to remove, and the kids went ahead and harvested some of those Russian olives, and they'll learn how to turn bowls out of them, which is awesome. So piggybacking off that, one thing that we're gonna do in the future is we're gonna start keeping these trees with galls that make good bowls for wood turners. And hopefully we can sell some of those and get some profit off of that to go back into our project. We're also gonna start harvesting the bigger Russian olives and just cutting the trunks. And we've been talking about doing one of those, you know, the sawmills where you can connect your chainsaw to and cut boards, because the Russian olive wood is actually worth a lot of money in those boards. So that's just kind of some creative thinking, using some of this, what's the word I'm thinking of, byproduct, I guess, and turning it into some profitable stuff to try to help support our program. Firewood is not good. We were trying to do that initially, and this wood stinks so bad that you don't want to burn it in your house. So that kind of went out of the question. Okay, Leafy Spurge. So we've been treating the same populations since before my time. It's so frustrating, this stuff won't die, but we're changing up our mixes. We're putting some good pre-emergent in there, and hoping that in the future we'll start seeing these guys really reducing populations. But this is a map of everything that I treated this year. All those little pinpoints are little populations. If you recall, we do have a Hermana project. It's funded through the Parks and Wildlife to help treat the Russian knapweed between County Road P and S, east of 491, because there's some significant knapweed populations there. Well, luckily, we got the contractors in there, and they found new leafy spurge populations in there. Well, it might not be new. We never knew it was there. So that's great. They got in there for the knapweed, and we discovered some other leafy spurge populations, so we're treating those and monitoring them. So that's a good thing. So just some information on leafy spurge. This is kind of there's an impacts in Ward County, North Dakota a long time ago. Next slide. I just want to give you kind of a story of why this stuff is bad. So there was a ranch, 3,200 acres in early 1970s. Leafy spurge infested over 50% of this ranch. The owners decided to sell it. The two brothers who were neighbors purchased this ranch in 1975 at full market value. The Farm Credit Services financed the purchase. I can't talk. In 1978, all of the pasture land on this ranch becomes severely infested with leafy spurge. The land couldn't be grazed or used for agricultural crops, so the brothers went into financial stress. They went into foreclosure, and the property was deeded to the Farm Credit Services. It took the Farm Credit Services until early 1991 to sell the property. The appraiser for the Farm Credit Services said his knowledge of sales indicated that this type of pasture could have sold for $100 to $125 per acre in that time. But because the leafy spurge was so significant, it dropped the price to $40 an acre. This is a drop in 60% of the property value price because of that leafy spurge. Here's another documented case about decreased land value because of leafy spurge. This one is in Oregon. In 1988, there's a 1,300 acre property which was taken over by the county to cover unpaid taxes caused by unproductivity because of leafy spurge. The estimated value for similar clean land was $125 to $150 an acre. Eventually it was sold to a party who lived in California for $27,000 with the stipulation that he had to control the leafy spurge. This was an 83% drop in value because of the leafy spurge. And then at the time of the sale, the county estimated it would take about $60,000 to control the leafy spurge on the ranch. Since that time, the new owner has spent well over that amount. So I'm just showing you these impacts of leafy spurge and other noxious weeds can really decrease property value, among other things. Okay, so spotted knapweed and diffuse project. This was funded through the HPP, and then cost share, Montezuma County cost share pitched in money to help cover the costs. We've treated about 81 acres through this project. You can see the red dots, that's where we've treated. Through our U.S. Forest Service agreement, we've treated about 20 acres of spotted knapweed. I've been following this population since I was working for Kenny Smith in like 2012, and it was bad. So it's looking amazing. We're using that pre-emergent rejuver in it to help control the seeds. And so this year it decreased significantly. Last year I think I treated about 80 acres. This year 20 acres. Hopefully next year I hardly see any of this stuff. Okay, so why care about spotted knapweed? A 1996 study estimated that the direct plus secondary economic impact of spotted knapweed in Montana was approximately $42 million annually, and that was 1996, so I'm sure these numbers are a lot more significant now. Spotted knapweed replaces native grasses, increases soil erosion and surface runoff, and then it depletes precious soil resources. So that's just kind of a little fact about spotted knapweed. The Hermana project, we've treated 150 acres of Russian knapweed. It's looking good. Some of these areas will probably be needing to be reseeded by the landowners next year, and maybe I can get some HPP funding to help assist that. But there's still at least 500 acres of Russian knapweed in this area, so we'll just keep chugging along just like the Mancos River project. The non-native ratified removal project, we've been down in McElmo for a few months. We're moving back to Hartman Draw right now. We were awarded $62,000 from a disaster relief grant for this project. We're working on the statement of work, and then hopefully the purchase order will come pretty soon. This will cover some salary costs. We did not receive the Wetlands GOCO grant. They had $4.4 million in requests and only had $1.25 million to give out. For some reason, the Ratified removal always tends to rank low on their habitat improvement projects, which I don't understand, but that's what they told me. Still waiting on the Water Smart funding announcement. It was supposed to be made early May, then it was June, now it should be early July, but I haven't heard anything. And I'm also waiting to hear about the congressional spending. So the San Juan Mountain Cooperative Weed Management Association, this was, I think it was like 2017 where this was created. And it was mainly to go after oxeye daisy in the high country. But we are reconstructing this association to address phragophytes, cheatgrass control, and then roadside management in general. So Patty York with the CDA is helping us apply for some funding through the Conservation Service Division for landscape level projects that address conservation partnership efforts around Colorado. So hopefully through this funding, we'll get some money to purchase some Rejuvra for our roadsides and then for some funds for our Ratified project. Okay, in the works, I'm really busy right now, but when I have time, this is what I'm gonna be doing. Updating the Montezuma County Noxious Weed Plan. I think we last updated it 5 years ago or something. I'm also working on an economic assessment of the impacts of noxious weeds in Montezuma County. I'm planning a fall applicator training for October. And then we have a Ratified tree giveaway event. We have the High Desert Conservation District, and then M.P.M is gonna donate some trees to give out to these landowners who removed their rush knolls and salt cedars to replant in these areas for wildlife habitat. And then
What
just
kind of
general.
trees are they?
What?
What kind of trees are they?
So M.P.'s gonna give a variety of apple trees. High Desert Conservation has some box elders, sumac, this certain type of willow. And then through the CSU nursery a couple years ago, we purchased some bare root cottonwoods, Navajo globe willows that we've been growing at the landfill. So those are big enough to give away now too. They all do good on our soils. They actually do good with high salinity in the soils, which is great. So we have a wide variety, which is exciting.
Okay, I was just curious because Russian olives were given away by CSU also, and now we're trying to eradicate them, so I would be very cautious of what we are
They're gonna give tamarisk out.
trying to give
No,
away.
none of these species are phragophytes. They're not gonna take over. They're natives. Yeah, hopefully we won't make mistakes like that in the future,
Okay,
but I
I'm
understand.
just
Okay, so that's
a
the
little cautious there.
that's the weed stuff. Health and wellness, I'm on the health and wellness committee. We just completed our Biggest Loser Challenge. Here's the statistics. This challenge was over 3 months. So every 2 weeks, we had the teams come and do a weigh-in. So we had, how many teams? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 teams of 3 people. So it was a pretty good turnout. It was a lot of fun. So the Three Stooges won first place. Fit and Trim Crime Junkies won second place, and then Oh Hell No got third place. And then we are having a team step challenge. So we received some funding through the Lore Foundation to purchase a bunch of fitness trackers that'll count steps. We're gonna do this challenge through the month of August. You will have a 4-person team. One of those team members must be a county employee, but aside from that, you can have family members join in. Even kids 5 and older can join in on this. It's supposed to be a lot of fun. We're anticipating over 200 people joining in on this. The entry fee is $20 per team. We're gonna have some fun prizes. The Lore Foundation not only purchased the fitness trackers, but they're also gonna have some funds for the prizes as well. And the entry fees will all go to the prizes as well. So if you're interested in that, please partake. Next. Yeah, and if you already have a fitness tracker, then don't take one, because those fitness trackers are for folks who don't have one already. So, next. Okay, so the goals through our health and wellness, we're promoting county funds to be spent on healthy meeting food compared to unhealthy. So departments who are having, any kind of meeting, we're trying to give them healthy alternatives instead of buying pizza and donuts and cookies. We're trying to promote more healthy food. So that's kind of in the works. We're looking into nutritional education, mental health awareness, meaning like methods with handling burnout and stress. Annie Diaz is gonna do a talk for us on this. We're talking about some leadership training, which supports mental health, financial stress. We're gonna have some talks on tactics to improve finances, which will hopefully lower stress, and then just improving physical health. That's all I got. I need coffee. Any questions?
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
A person asked me, do they get signs, no spray signs from you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so they'll come and they'll fill out a no spray agreement, and the agreement just pretty much says that they're gonna prevent any noxious weeds from going to C. Any weeds on the A list, they have to completely remove the weed, and then they need to mow and keep the vegetation under 6 inches. So as long as they adhere to that, we'll come and put up our official no spray signs.
Okay.
Now, remember that only applies to their side of the road.
Yes.
It doesn't apply to the other side of the road. So they may get spray on a north or a south or an east or a west. It just applies to their side.
Right.
Correct. Okay, have a great day.
I actually had one other question. When you were going through those valuations of those properties from $120 to $40, is that a different type of an appraisal, or how is that? How are those numbers?
Well, that was back in the day. That was just, there weren't any houses on the land, so it was just the price per acre that was going in that time.
So just a
areas.
standard appraisal process then?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're using the animal unit months, what it will actually run.
Per unit, per month.
Per animal, how many acres is it gonna take to run that animal for a year? And that's how they do their appraisal on those
Gotcha.
big ranches, because that's what it's used for. So without that grass there,
And weeds.
the value goes down.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because you can,
Okay. I was just curious. I was just, how do they value that?
that's how they do it.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Justin, Fairgrounds.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so our attendance to date out there is 41,480 people. Kind of a look at our revenue, $57,902.49, and then when you look at our expenditures offset by the what's paid by Conservation Trust, our difference is $70,027.32. This last month we had the Ute Mountain Rodeo out there. With the carnival, that went really good. They sold Saturday night out again. I know they had a line of traffic out there going towards town. I don't know how long it went this year, but I know there's quite a crowd waiting to get in there. The weekend after that, we did a junior rodeo Vegas toughest qualifier, and that went good. That same weekend was a set of car races. And they actually got rained out for June 18th, which I don't think nobody's complaining, but they only raced that one day that day, so. We were supposed to have a ranch rodeo from the Ag Expo, but they ended up canceling that. The guy that generally does the ranch rodeos, from what I've heard, kind of sold all his cattle out, and they weren't able to get him, and they weren't able to get anybody else, and they weren't able to do anything else, so. They're gonna probably look at something else for next year. We were supposed to have a country western dance out there the 25th of June, but that got postponed to August. and then July 2nd was a commodity giveaway. So coming up this month, this next weekend, we have a set of car races out there again. The national team roping is coming in for July 9th and 10th. Then we're gonna have a set of barrel races, July 15th to the 17th. Then we start getting into fair. We'll do the 4-H show July 23rd and 24th, followed by that next whole week doing our Montezuma County Fair. So that's kind of what we have on our agenda. If you want to just go ahead and go to our next thing, we've been looking at the fee schedule for the fairgrounds. And so I've kind of been going over this and going over this and going circles on it. My recommendation on this is if we change our fee schedule to what's going to be following this, that we also maybe change the amount of cost that the CTF pays for our salaries. Currently, it pays 50% of all of our salaries out there and our benefits. But if we were to keep my salary at 50%, the manager, and then change the technicians to 75%, that would give us a $125,000 per year thereabout from that fund, and then it would leave us monies in that fund for projects, you know, for matching grants and things like that if we can get them. And then that kind of shows us.
What do you get on an average? I mean, I understand it's probably a little bit different every year, but I mean, we talked about that. We put a Band-Aid on it this year to put the 75%, but if you continually spend all of it, which, you know, we're spending it to fix this year.
Yes.
Can it bear the cost of the 75%?
So yeah, so if you look at that chart right there, like 2018 to 2019, each year we have got that much money in there. So every year between 2018 and 2019, we've been over 155,000 a year.
Okay.
So if we were to continue on and only pool about 125,000 each year for our salaries and our benefits, then we would at least have 30,000 per year, as long as everything continues this way. Now, obviously, you have years where we're going to be getting, you know, more than 30,000 extra, but that's what I went off was the low numbers. I know we kind of put a Band-Aid on it for now, and that's kind of why we weren't wanting to spend money out of this fund the last few years, just because COVID, you know, and now we were looking at trying to overcome our costs. But I was thinking for moving forward, maybe this is what we need to look at to help alleviate some of that losing revenue, I guess, per se. Because then if you go into our fee schedule, I've kind of changed all this to accommodate what we talked about last time. Now this is about 23% across the board, more than what I proposed the last time. If we get the same amount of people coming in and renting the facility as we had the last couple of years, we would get about 180,000 a year off of this, which should pretty much cover our costs. But I think we're gonna, you know, be losing a little bit of revenue by doing this, because we're doing it all at once. And the next couple of years, we're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna be seeing, you know, our gains that we want to see as far as covering our expenses 100%.
So what's the change, Justin, on the very top one? Is that you're going from $350 a day to $2,500 a day?
So that's a range. I figured if we're gonna go ahead and change all of our fees significantly to this, then we need to just go ahead and change our range for our cleaning and damage deposit.
Right, but that's
so
left up to your discretion, so
yes,
it could be $350.
that's up to my
which is just a deposit, they get that back.
But yes, they get that back as long as they don't.
Something has been.
Yep, as long as they clean it up and they don't damage things. So say if they come in
So
here
that-
and they
that
tear
really-
up a door, then I need to cover my door.
That really doesn't cover any, yeah, okay, go ahead.
So that's kind of where that was. The old range was 350 to 1,500, I think. So I basically bumped it up 1,000 just because, you know, we're increasing all our rates, and obviously product nowadays is a lot more, et cetera, so. I don't know if we really need to go through line item by line item on this, but I kind of bumped all these up a little bit. The one that I did change is if you go down to the kitchen, I did add $25 an hour in there, just to see if maybe we can help pull in some of those people that need commissaries just for like preparation or cleaning. There are guys out there that have like mobile units and they need a commissary just to come in and clean their equipment. So they only need to rent a kitchen or a commissary for maybe an hour or so. Well, it doesn't pay for them to, you know, pay $130 a day to come in for an hour to do just a little bit. So that's one thing I did add in there to the kitchen. Everything else on this, I've just kind of bumped them up in rates to accommodate or cover our expenses. I mean, if you guys got any questions looking at any of those, I can be happy to answer that for you.
So what was the total increase?
The total increase?
The total increase, because I think that was really our question, is do we have enough to cover the cost? So from where you're at currently to this proposal, does that offset that with CTF paying, still paying 75% of the other salaries?
So if we go to, that's kind of what I was saying, if we go to this fee schedule, that would ideally give us about $180,000 a year, which should pretty much cover what we spend each year. Now obviously, when we look at what the world's been doing and inflation and everything these next couple of years, you know, our costs keep going up. So that's why I was talking about the CTF fund. Maybe we need to look at actually doing that as well to help with this, to help compensate with this. But this fee schedule right here should, you know, as long as everybody stays going to the fairgrounds and, you know, people don't get run off by this, that is where we would be sitting, theoretically. Because we basically just doubled our costs from where they are currently. That's what we've done.
Last time we had a fee increase was when?
I'm not sure, and I tried to go back into some meeting minutes in the past and look, but I wasn't able to find anything, so I know it's been years since we've done a fee increase. I don't think the two predecessors before me ever fee increased anything, so.
Which is one of the problems where we're at right now, is they've been stagnant for 20 years, and now with the change of everything,
and it's really hard to kind of just throw this out there and say, well, this is where we are now,
but that's where we're at.
But that's a reality. That is where we're at. I mean, the reality is the reality, and I understand it. It's extremely difficult, but.
And unless we do this, we can't move forward and improve our fairgrounds. I mean, we're continually losing money all the time. There's no room to upgrade, improve out there at all.
Correct. So this is kind of where we're sitting. I mean, this is kind of the rate schedule we need to go to overcome our expenses. And then, like I said, if we do the CTF fund increase, then that would kind of give us a little more cushion, just for any unexpected fees that, you know, we're going to start looking at.
Which is a pretty large increase from the CTF. I mean, it's basically taking everything that they have, so you're not going to have anything for matching.
So currently,
you're going to have very little, I guess I should say.
Currently, our CTF, I think it is about $85,000 per year that we use for our salary and benefits over the last, you know, several years that that's been in place. It's
But that
been
was at
about
50%.
Do what?
That was at 50%.
Yes, that was at 50%.
And this proposal is at 75%.
For two of the salaries.
Correct.
Mine would say the same, so yes. So it would bump it another, about 40,000, 30 to 40,000. But it would give us that opportunity to keep our rates right here, which are not going above our closest counties, and still allow us to have a.
Questions? Gentlemen?
No, there's two ways to take a Band-Aid off, real slow and painfully, or rip it off and painfully, so.
Exactly, and I guess the hope is if this is what we have to go to, this is what we go to, and then maybe someday in the future, if something changes, such as the county gets a sales tax that maybe a little bit goes to the fairgrounds or things like that, maybe we can adjust some of this again, but until then, this is really the only way we have to cover those costs.
So I guess really what I'd like to see is from, and I can look it up, but from where we are at today in the comparison, so that we actually have what are the percentages on each one of these that they're going up? Do you have that?
I don't have it with me. I can get that to you, but I can tell you every one of these is pretty much double. I can go through each one of these with you right now and tell you.
No, you don't have to go through it with us right now. I think it's just.
Yeah, how much we.
Yeah, what percentage wise, we're trying to fix a 20+ year.
And obviously I did some of them a little lighter than other ones, just because, like for instance, the kitchen, if I bumped that thing up to $200 a day, we would never rent it. So I went to 130 and it rents right now for 100. But if we go to $200 a day, we would never rent that kitchen out. And then if you look at like McPhee or McGee or, La Plata over there, theirs aren't sitting at 200 a day. So, that's kind of what I was trying to keep in mind when I'm going over this whole fee schedule.
With your comparison.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it competitive with what everybody else is doing. So.
2014 was the last read.
2014,
2014.
It's almost
8 years. 8 years.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can look at this, and I guess then we can put this under unfinished business. How far out, gentlemen? The end of the month or beginning of August?
Yeah, I would recommend we post the proposed rates and see what we get.
As far as
comments from people.
Just kind of throw it online and.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put it, August to make a decision.
My only concern with eliciting comments is, I think we know what the comments are gonna be.
But
The comments are gonna
we're gonna have to
be-
put it out there one way or another.
Yeah.
I think we should put it out there as the rate.
Think we just go with the rate?
I do.
And I agree with that also, because it's all we're trying to do is cover it. We're already even increasing the CTF to pay for more. So
That's true.
we can't, we're not the ones that created the inflation, and we're not the ones that, we just have to deal with the money that we have. That's all. I would agree with Commissioner Copenhaver on this one. I would just make the decision on, give us enough time to do any research and put it on the workshop for the 8th and make the determination on the 9th of August. That gives us a month to look it over and anything
Fine.
else.
We've discussed it in here, so it's kind of out there already, but.
Right. Well, here again, like we talked about earlier, just because we discuss it, it seems like there's very few people that actually get it.
Right.
So if we give another discussion at a workshop on the 8th, then we'll make the determination on Tuesday the 9th. Are you guys good with that?
Yes, I
Okay.
am, that's fine.
All right, well,
Yeah.
under unfinished business, put that to the 9th of August, Jim.
So is there any more that you guys would like to see before the 8th, I guess, or on the 8th from me, other than this?
No, I think we can pull what we currently have and we can do our own math just to find out where we're at. The only other question that I had, and Commissioner Lindsay had asked me about this too, where do we stand with the suppression system, and is that being repaired and fixed, and where are we at with that?
So the suppression system, I believe, that came back to whether or not we were gonna go to that different system that they were wanting to do, and I don't know if that ever got approved. Did you guys agree to approving
What, the
recommendation from them, or?
Well, the RFP, so the RFP and the proposal that they were the successful awarded bidder, correct,
Yes.
was to fix the entire system,
Correct.
okay? So, the change that they came back with was to split it into 2 separate systems, one being a lesser amount, one in just the covered area, and then one over the
Yeah, exactly. And
arena.
I thought we were waiting on your guys' kind of decision on whether or not you were okay for them to move forward with just fixing that across that
So,
east side.
here are my thoughts.
Okay.
So, we have some super big events, and if we don't do the whole system, and this is just me talking, and one, I'm gonna talk about the gun show, because we have a very large, combustible or flammable, exposure in that arena. It's huge.
Yeah.
That, just one show, if something was to ignite out there, so for us to say, well, there's nothing going to happen, I think then we become even more negligent because of what we allow to happen in that arena. So just the fire load in there by itself, just in one event, I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah,
So I think we should stay with the system as it was designed to fix it correctly, so that it doesn't matter what we put out there, it's still covered.
Well, and I think from a legal perspective, what was put out for proposal is what needs to
It's what needs to
happen.
happen.
I mean,
So-
we put it out for proposal, we got a bid.
Right.
That's what needs to happen.
So, yeah, I know, but the problem we had with that is when it went out for proposal, then they had to come back with an engineered plan as well on top of that. So when they came back with that engineered plan and we were having issues with the water company giving us, how much water they'd give us, see, now that they said they had to have X amount of water, and they're not able to supply that X amount of water if they fix the system to what was proposed. So that's where we ran into that issue, where it was like, either A, we're gonna have to put a tank out there to give us enough volume and pressure and flow to accommodate that whole building, or that was really our only option, I think, which was not part of the bid. And so that was where, we came back and we had that meeting, that they kind of gave us the couple little options that we could look at as far as, accommodating our fire suppression system needs. So if we want to do that whole building, or we want to look at that whole building, I believe we needed to do a tank of X amount of gallons, and I don't know what that was, but it was pretty large with a pump. Now we could keep that tank filled, off of our regular water, I believe. I don't know that we would have had to put in a separate, dedicated line, so it might save us some money there. Instead of paying for that dedicated line, we just run a line over there and keep it filled. But I think that was where that was going, if I remember. I'd have to go back and kind of
Why don't you,
relook that over and come back to you, but.
why don't you have that for us next Monday, our
Okay.
department head meeting, because I remember the tank, but I don't remember us not having a dedicated suppression line. Is that correct? Because there is a new line on that
Yes,
highway.
so, exactly.
So we should be able to have a static line that runs that suppression system.
So we need a static line to run that fire suppression system if we come straight off of Montezuma water.
The main water line.
If we come straight off of them to our building, we have to have a dedicated line. Now, if we put in a tank, that tank is what's gonna be holding our volume of water.
Which would be
So,
off of the
I don't think
water
that-
system that we have.
Yes, I don't think that
currently.
necessarily needs a dedicated line and
No.
meter to go to that tank. So we would be, you know, instead of spending X amount of dollars for a membership and a new meter and a new line to run for just the fire suppression system, we could put that money into the tank. I think that was kind of the, where
sug-
that
my su-
conversation would go.
My suggestion is we put it on the agenda for Monday's workshop.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, find out.
I'll look
Bring
it
all
all
that
over and I'll bring
information
that
back to us, because that's actually a separate, that would be a separate award anyway, the suppression system, but then the supply to the
Mhm.
suppression.
But that's where we ran into that whole issue with that. If they fix the system to what the bid was, then the water company can't give us the water that we needed to,
They won't guarantee the water.
well, it was, I can't remember what the numbers were, and I can bring you back the numbers, but it was like an ungodly number. It was like, kinda,
Okay,
so.
all right, that
But
was
I'll
the only
bring that back
question
to you. Okay.
that I had, and we can discuss that. So make sure, would you make sure that's on the agenda for the workshop? All right, thank you. All right, anything else, Justin?
Yes, so I was talking, I don't know how much you guys heard about the grow dome that they were wanting to put out there. I'm assuming Shaq kind of went over some of that stuff with you guys before he left.
We were just told that we were awarded a grow dome because Dolores County did not want it, which was provided by the AAA, correct?
AAA was using the ARPA funds to buy 5 of those.
Okay, yes, so what they want to do is, to get that ball rolling, is they wanted to do kind of an MOU between us and it would be San Juan Basin Area Agency. I sent that over to Ian to kind of look that MOU over, and I know we were waiting on to see if I can get a Word document so you could add a little bit if we needed to. But I guess would you be okay, you know, kind of present that to them next week or something?
Yeah, we need it in a Word document, so if they can send us a Word document, then we can make I can make the edits that we need to make, because there are some things I'd like to tweak in there.
Okay.
And so if you can get me a copy of a Word document, then I can get it to these guys next week and run through it with them.
So I just want to kind of put that in your ear. They are wanting to look at doing kind of an MOU before we start spending money. to do
So
all
have
this
you
stuff.
looked at placement?
Yes, so placement that we kind of agreed on ultimately altogether is over there just before the racetrack. When you follow the road that goes to the racetrack as it makes that bend and gets right next to the southern hill there, just kind of putting it right there next to the hill. That away, it keeps it kind of away from what we're doing. It kind of keeps it by itself, and it's an easy location for them to get to. We do have the water line that runs through there, so we can access that water line for winter time, but we're looking at trying to get irrigation water over there as well. So that's one of the costs that we're kind of putting together so we can send over to see if we can get a grant on. But the other part was electrical, and it might be a little bit more of a challenge to get electrical over there, but I'm still kind of coordinating with them to see if that's a necessity. Which is something that's in that MOU, and as soon as I figure that out, then we'll.
I wouldn't think that would be a necessity to that thing.
I thought looking at that grow dome, they had a solar panel that would move the components on that with a
Yeah,
solar panel.
The components in the dome are all off of solar.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know,
what
so that's
I'm
not-
wondering, you know, is if they were on solar. I just haven't heard back from them to verify
Yeah,
that.
they are.
So
It's
as
all
long
on
as that's the case, then we're okay on the electrical.
It was just a water.
Yep, so our main thing is water, getting water there, and then we gotta look at trying to get the foundation made. But all that's gonna be hopefully grant funded covered, so as soon as we get prices and we get that over to the grant writer, she's gonna try to get us some funding for that.
And that horticulturist is still a 5-year
As far as I know,
Five-year deal?
yes, they do the horticulturalist for 5 years. And then after that, I believe we can still coordinate with them, you know, as far as them bringing in maybe somebody like that. But yes, it is a 5-year guaranteed thing for them to.
Okay, well, we'll
to put
let you
that.
look at that MOU and see
and
if
then-
that's something we wanna look at.
I've looked at it, Commissioner. I mean, I think for the most part, it's good. There's just a couple things that I would suggest that we tweak.
Okay.
And then I got one other thing, and that is for the wash rack that we were looking and inquiring into about over there by the beef barn. I don't know if we have to allocate or, I guess, vote on funds that are paid by CTF for that. But that total project's gonna look at about $8,000. 5,000 would be coming from the 4-H stockholders, which means that we're gonna have to pay about 3,000 from our CTF. So I just don't know if we need to
I think we had discussed that
verified
before,
before
and
we-
that we, when we put it out for proposal, when Dustin came in, he
Okay.
said that they were gonna do it themselves now, because
Yes,
there was
yes.
no
So
no
we
bidders.
we got
So, the CTF has plenty of money to finish the rest of that,
Okay.
other than the $5,000 grant that I think CSU had. Or
Yes. Yeah, the
I guess it
4-H,
was
yes.
4-H, whoever. So
I just-
they can get that done.
I just wanted to make sure that we were good before we started pulling the trigger on it.
Yep.
Because we did get some of our costs and we're ready to kind of,
I think we had all agreed on it
Okay.
at that point in time, and we had actually discussed, I think, up to 50, or to match 100% of that
Okay.
if we needed to, so.
okay. That's all I needed to know though. Make sure we
So-
were good.
Basically, the $5,000 that they have and the $5,000 we have, we can take that out of CTF, and it is, totally okay because of the conversation that we had with CTF.
Okay, perfect. I never heard nothing from Shaq on that, so and Dustin wasn't for sure, so I just want to verify we were good before because we'll start pulling the trigger on that one,
Yep.
so. All right, that's all I got.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yep, thank you,
Thanks.
gentlemen.
Okay, Ian, next, our public activity bond. This must be for the fish ponds.
This is for the sleeping ute apartments.
Yep.
Yep, so you guys have already seen this, approved it, if you recall. These are bonds that come through DOLA. We serve as sort of an underwriter for the bonds. We don't have any obligation to pay the bonds back, but as part of this process, we have to sign 2 things today. There's a certificate, basically says that we'll proceed with diligence to ensure the issuance of the bonds within the time period commencing today and then ending December 31st. And then there's also a notification to DOLA, just notifying DOLA that we're going to allocate these private activity bonds that we can allocate to the Sleeping Ute Apartments project.
Okay, do you have a number, Kim? Or, I guess that doesn't really
What
matter.
I had in my packet,
Okay,
and then I have this, but it's blank.
Okay. I move we require this, or sign this certificate required by section 24-32-17092C of the Colorado Revised Statutes as amended, for the supervision of the issuance of its private activity bonds. Montezuma County will proceed with the diligence to ensure the issuance of such bonds within the time period commencing December 31st, 2020, before 2025.
Second.
okay, so it's been moved and seconded to sign the certificate required by section 24-32-109, parentheses 2, parentheses C of the Colorado Revised Statute as amended for the PAB, private activity bond for the Sleeping Ute Apartments. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Ian, do they need to do this as well?
They do, we don't have a contact in there. I wasn't sure, Shaq had been the contact before, and so,
Oh, I see.
I didn't know who we wanna stick in there at this
Do
point.
we want to just stick you in there for now until we, or would it be
Well-
better for the board?
Yeah, it probably probably wouldn't be appropriate to stick me in there.
Okay, so then
Because
the
I mean, I'm
board-
not gonna be the one working on this project, so it's, at this point, it just says Montezuma County on there.
Which would be the board?
Yeah.
Okay. We can leave that as just the board as the contact.
Yep, so we actually
We
need to
need to
approve that as
Move
well.
it forward. Okay,
Yeah.
hand it back.
You bring that up, Jim?
Kim, can we have it back?
And perhaps,
Bring that up.
I'm sorry.
You bring that up.
I'm happy to retype that. What my suggestion would be is you just approve it now, and then I can get the address in it for you guys. I mean, because right now it doesn't have our contact's address, it just says Montezuma County.
Okay.
It doesn't have a resolution for you.
It's not actually a resolution.
Oh, not
This
a
would just be
resolution.
a date.
A date?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
If you move that we approve that, I'll just put the correct date in and then put an address in for us.
Okay, move we approve the private activity volume cap allocation in the amount of $1 million.
It's actually gonna be Commissioner's notification required pursuant to.
Okay, withdraw that. Move we approve the notification required pursuant to section 24-32-706 of the Colorado Revised Statute. Do we need the rest of it in there?
Nope.
Okay,
Second.
we'll get it there yet.
So it's been moved and seconded to sign this notification required pursuant to section 24-32-1706 of the Colorado Revised Statute as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Does it require, I didn't see all three.
I think so. We've already,
Okay.
so we got same color.
All right, monthly payables or May payables. So this is something that Shaq usually does, but since Shaq is not here, I can go over them all. So the total amount for the May payables is $3,702,528.78. And they are broken down, as you can see on the screen. Above, the general fund, $929,795.65. Road and Bridge, $591,746.86. Public Health, $188,331.15. The Capital Fund, $191,681.36. Admin Fund, $18,008.88. The Landfill Fund, $92,911.97. And the check register total of $2,012,475.87. Again, for a total of $3,702,528.28. Any questions, gentlemen?
No. So move we approve the May payables, $3,702,528.78.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve our May payables from May 1st to May 31st in the amount of $3,702,528.78. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna jump right into our county attorney's report.
It's a short week for me. I don't really have anything to report.
Great. All right. I do have one question then, and I know that there probably wasn't a lot of activity, but where do we stand on the Ironwood?
Yep, so.
Did we expire our days, or?
So I have been in communication with the Attorney General's office regarding Ironwood. They're continuing to work on the situation with Ironwood, and they've promised us an update soon. We are gonna get down and check the temperatures in those piles and get those temperatures sent to them. And so that's where we're at this point.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Dietrich, I see that you're in the room. You're here to talk to us today.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning. Morning.
Just going, yes, we're on now. Okay, so I haven't had a chance to meet with the commissioners here for a little bit, so I'll kind of catch you up on a few little things here. The first thing is met with the BLM out at the Flowdine allotment. That's been a couple weeks ago now. We had a field trip out there. It was fairly heavily attended. We did have some representation from the Rangeland Stewardship Committee. Steve and Cindy Wallace were out there. We also had Al Heaton, and although he's not on this Stewardship Committee, we also rode out there with Commissioner Garcher from Dolores County. So really the purpose of that meeting was to discuss how we're going to go about identifying all the cultural resources that still need an intensive inventory out there. And as I discussed the last time with the commissioners, we were looking at a methodology which overlays projected utilization by livestock with the areas where we anticipate seeing a larger number of the cultural resources. So the idea is to take an area that's like this and try to compress it down to an area like this where you're looking at just the resources that we need to do an inventory on. It appears that the methodology works pretty well. When we were out there, though, I can tell you that it seems like the opposition, they threw everything out there they could possibly come up with, even though we were there to talk about the cultural resources. So I anticipate that we're going to continue to, of course, see a lot of opposition to this as the process continues. I think that the SHPO seem to be pretty comfortable with the process that we're putting out there, so I anticipate that this is probably going to move through the archaeological piece fairly smoothly, and I do anticipate that we're going to narrow our area of inventory down considerably. One other thing to note, we did look at some ruins. Some of these ruins are just absolutely it's inconceivable that a cow could actually even access some of these ruins. So others are areas where there's maybe an underhang, cows can get in there, but the question is how much damage really happens. So with all the inventory that's been done, typically there's no data that's being collected on what happens when livestock actually visit archaeological sites. Typically what we'll see is somebody will put in the notes, the presence of dung was observed, or presence of tracks were observed, things of that nature. So at this juncture, we have no data currently that supports the notion that the cattle can damage cultural resources to the point where they become ineligible for listing on the National Historic Registry. So that is one of the fundamental things that did come out of that meeting, is certainly no data that backs that up. And so when there is presence of livestock at cultural resource sites, really we have no idea of what's happening out there. And we don't know for sure whether it was trespass livestock or whether it was permitted livestock either. We've talked about it in the past. We've got a tremendous problem with trespass livestock out in that area. They run 365, 7 days a week, and I mean, it's no control over that whatsoever. So that's not even something that was really being discussed out there, yet it is an issue. I anticipate this is probably going to be an ongoing process for a while. We're not even to the N.M.P.M point yet, and so I kind of anticipate seeing a couple of years before we even get to there, in all honesty at this. So a little bit of frustration. I feel pretty good about some of the methodology we're using, but I mean, it's still going to be an uphill battle all the way through on this. Also met with the Dwarf Coordination Committee. On that committee, and of course that's the Dolores Watershed and Resilient Forest Committee. We're developing recommendations for broadening the dwarf community engagement. One of the areas that we think that we're lacking a little bit is with the livestock community, and we realize the livestock community could be a great beneficiary of a lot of the forest health projects that are going on out there. So I did talk to some folks in the Rangeland Stewardship Committee. I think Cindy Wallace would be willing to participate. Other than that, though, we really found that most folks are really pretty busy, and the meeting schedules are pretty rigorous also. So I'm just not anticipating that we're going to be able to fill that slot very easily. Hopefully Cindy will be able to step into that and help us a little bit with it. But we'll continue to try on that front. So we've also been working on governance structure for the CFLRP funding that appears to be coming. So the CFLRP will consist of a coordinating committee and 6 standing committees that work on subsections. And I will volunteer to be a part of one of the subcommittees and maybe nominated for one of the main committees for the oversight on that also. This is going to be unfolding over the next couple of months. And then we should have this by September figured out, the whole governance structure on that. Also met with the Central Federal Lands Highway Division on the Paz de Mesa Verde Trail over on the Mancos side. We were at our 30% review meeting on that with CDOT. We're hitting some snags on that, and I think the main thing that we're hitting is some sticker shock with the cost of all the engineering. What they're saying is their contracts are coming in at 150 to 200% of what the engineering estimates were. And I think that we're in the middle of unprecedented inflation, and so we're hoping that because this project is slated for construction in 2026, that things will kind of steady out, and that hopefully we'll see a return to some reasonable pricing structures, and that we won't see the panic that we're seeing right now. And if I were a contractor, I think I'd feel that way too. And I'm hearing that from a lot of different sources. I think I heard that from you too, Jim, that you're seeing that. So not uncommon. Hopefully we'll just ride through this. Other than that, we're working through some issues. One of the issues that we've got is a few places where that highway right-of-way constricts considerably, and we're not able to keep that pathway at a 30-foot setback. When that happens, the highway department is saying that they feel like to meet the standards that we need guardrail. Well, boy, when you add it all up, we wind up with about a mile of guardrail out there. That's roughly $1 million right there. So anyway, we're negotiating on that. The point that actually one of the CDOT engineers made is that when you put something like that up to try to protect a pedestrian from a car that's leaving the highway that could potentially hit a pedestrian, the probability of the two intersecting is quite low. Not to say it couldn't happen, but very, very low. However, when you put in a guardrail in like that, the obstruction for a vehicle is pretty profound. Those guardrails are designed so that they'll deflect a vehicle back across the highway. So in other words, somebody leaves a highway on one side, it could be deflected back across and into oncoming traffic. The probability of that happening is much higher than a pedestrian being hit by a vehicle. So we're arguing about that through CDOT and think we've got some openings on it. We sure hope so, because that's a high ticket item, and would like to avoid that if possible. We've also got a few places where we may need some substantial retaining walls. We feel like there is some potential that if we were able to secure just a narrow sliver of right-of-way from a landowner that's adjacent to the highway right-of-way, we might be able to eliminate some of the retaining wall and also make the construction a whole lot easier. So this will be something that we'll continue to pursue. I think one of the critical areas is right there where the Highway 160 and Business 160 intersection on the west end of town come together. And right there, the highway right-of-way is just at the toe of the slope. There's barely any room there, very tight. So that might be one place where we'd want to consider talking to the landowner to see if we could get some right-of-way. Also met with the Mancos Trails Group. The Mancos Trails Group has been really active in promoting and developing the trail system up there in the aqueduct area. So they've got a kind of a parking area that's roughed in out there. We've got I don't know how many miles of trail, but it is actually in operation at this point, and I believe that they will through over the next year they should be able to get roughly about twice as much trail in up there. So things are progressing pretty well, but they're running into the funding problem, of course. So the Mancos Trail Group was going to go through and ask GOCO for a grant to help develop the parking lot, the kiosk, the typical kind of stuff there at the trailhead. Because they work with a financial agent, which would take 5% of their grant right off the top for administration, they can't really pursue that, that angle. And so they've come to the county to ask our help in basically acting as a pass-through on that. So I've talked with GOCO about that. This is something I think we've all been interested in anyway, would like to see that, that trail park in action. So I've talked with GOCO about that, and I've also talked to CPW about that. CPW has got a grant, a non-motorized grant, for about the amount that we need, and they're really pushing us hard to request dollars for that grant. And I think that it's a project that's well underway. It's got a good track record. They felt like it's a good fit. So we'll continue to negotiate between Mancos Trail Group and our funding sources to come up with a good strategy on who applies for what. I'm perfectly happy to help move that grant through as a pass-through and try to shepherd that. Of course, it is a little bit of work on the county's part. But if they can't find another way to do that, then I think it's part of our objective also. So I'm happy to help. Anyway, I will bring more information to the commissioners on that as soon as we've got a strategy really in place.
So I had a question asked of me this week, so I'm going to ask it here. When we do those type of developments, those parking lots, we obviously impact the road significantly, or the potential to impact the road significantly is there. So do we, because it's development of a parking lot through our land use code, do we charge, I guess on this one it would be the BLM, right?
Correct.
Is that, are there impact fees or road impact fees that are associated with that development of the parking lots?
We've never charged any fees that I'm aware of for anything like that, especially on federal lands.
Okay. So in other words, we're just making it accessible for the people to be able to get parked to get to their land?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I want to elaborate a little bit on Road 39. So we've got some concerns that are coming in from some citizens on that. So it is something we're taking a look at. We realize that trying to move bicycle traffic off of the road would be preferable. It's got a pretty tight right-of-way up there, so I've went up, taken a look at it. We'll work with Danny and Sean Gregory on that particular connection there. They're the ones that developed the connection for the Dolores Hill up there, that connection that goes up to Boggy Draw. So I think something similar like that would be probably pretty beneficial there at Road 39. There's some issues with Road 39 for sure. So as we explore this, and I'll keep bringing this kind of information to the commissioners, but that is definitely a concern. And also how to get people from the Paths of Mesa Verde across the highway. And that is a concern also. There is an existing culvert there that's used to move livestock back and forth. We took a look at that. I felt like, that could be rehabbed and used as a minor, access way. The highway department feels differently about that, as we might expect. So that'll be something we'll just have to kind of continue to take a look at. We're using a box culvert that's a drainage culvert for that Paths of Mesa Verde race, or for that 12 Hours of Mesa Verde race. So, for at least on a temporary basis, I don't see why it couldn't be suitable. And of course, it would take the landowner. We would have to negotiate with the landowner on that also.
Okay.
That'll be something we continue, one more problem with this that we'll continue to keep working on. So.
Okay. Thank you, James.
Certainly. I guess, okay, that's about it. I'll try to keep it a little more brief today.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we have no county administrator's report. So commissioner's report, I'll go to my left today.
On Saturday, I met with the Attorney General from the state of Colorado down at the park here in Cortez. Had some good discussion. Basically talked to him some about water in the state of Colorado and the Colorado River Compact and where Colorado is. And he realizes that, and basically admitted Colorado was way behind of where we should be as far as in these negotiations and where we're gonna have to go into the future. And basically had some pretty frank discussion about some of the things that I felt needed to be fixed, and he admitted that it needed a lot of work, and he was gonna look into some of the things that I suggested that they needed to do. So, and we also had some discussion about the CIP program, mental health issues that's going on all over the state, and where we were at here as far as our approach and stuff. So we had some good conversation about things, what's going on all over the state and stuff. So it was good. It's a good meeting. And basically, other than that, I mostly baled hay all weekend. So
Enjoyed the 4th.
I enjoyed the 4th. Nobody bothered me. The tractor.
Yeah, I attended the city council meeting, and they were their agenda was real light. But what caught my attention was a lady told a story of her being trapped in a restroom in City Park, and an individual blocking the door, and her daughter were in there, and I think that kind of got the attention of the council also. I hope so. But she was pretty fearful for what had happened, and also related that it's happening more and more at the city park. And everybody out there, just be aware of what's going on around you anymore, what's happening, called situational awareness. Be aware of what's happening around you and who's following you. Other than that, I spent yesterday, it was my honor and privilege to help Cortez Fire with the fireworks. We sat out there and wired up fireworks for most of the morning and part of the afternoon. And thanks for the invite, Cortez Fire.
Thank you, it was a good show. I don't have a lot either. Everything that I've been doing was basically helping with the administrators and mostly dealing with personnel issues. And I did attend the walkthrough with Rob for the road and bridge for the Alkali Creek Bridge. And we did not have a work session, and other than that, I enjoyed the 4th of July holiday weekend also. I was not baling hay, but I was enjoying the weekend. So that's all we have. We will reconvene at 1:30 as the Board of Health, right back here in this meeting room. So with that, gentlemen,
All right,
we're done.
we're done for now.
We're gonna go ahead and motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn this meeting and reconvene later as Board of Health.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to leave this meeting and reconvene at 1:30 as the Board of Health. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What you got?